This is Eswatini TV News at 10. I am Natsile Sitola alongside Makabiso Ngambule. First up is a look at our headlining stories tonight. His Majesty King Mswati III has paid a courtesy call on the President of the Republic of South Korea to discuss the strengthening of diplomatic relations between the two countries. Inkosikazi Magelangangaza has met the Good News Mission in South Korea. Minister for ICT Savannah Mazia has presented Eswatini's strategy of bringing government services closer to the people through the use of technology at the 10th Global Forum in South Korea. Hello and thank you for joining us. His Majesty King Mswati III has paid a courtesy call on His Excellency Yoon Suk-yeol, the President of the Republic of South Korea. His Majesty and the President had bilateral talks on how to further strengthen diplomatic relations between the two countries.
His Majesty King Mswati III paid a courtesy call on the President of South Korea, His Excellency Yoon Suk-yeol. His Majesty paid the courtesy call after the official opening of the Korea-Africa Summit that was officially opened by the President of South Korea. The Kingdom of Eswatini and the Republic of South Korea have diplomatic relations that have been existing for over 55 years, and the two countries have continued to develop friendly and cooperative relations since the establishment of the diplomatic relations in 1968. At the State House, His Majesty the King had bilateral talks with the President. The meeting served as an opportunity for the two countries to expand substantive cooperation in various areas. The meeting comes after the pledge of the heads of state of the Republic of Korea and the African continent of forging deeper trade and business cooperation and advancing cooperation for food security with South Korea's support with agricultural technology. Present during the meeting was the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Senator Polile Shakantu, and the Eswatini ambassador in Malaysia and other countries in Asia, His Excellency Menzi Dlamini. While continuing with a busy schedule in South Korea, His Majesty King Mswati III met with Dr. Ok Suk Park. Dr. Suk Park paid a courtesy call on His Majesty while accompanied by his spouse and a few members of his congregation. The pastor is the founder of the Good News Mission, which has established the International Youth Fellowship Center in Eswatini. Dr. Ok Suk Park originates from the Republic of South Korea. Dr. Suk Park was also accompanied by a well-known choir from his church, and the choir is famous with singing Mswati songs. The choir sang before His Majesty. The King presented the pastor with a gift, and Pastor Suk Park also presented His Majesty with a gift. On the news, I'm Polile Mazia with Tabiso Dlamini in South Korea.
The Good News Mission in South Korea has met Inkosikazi Magelangangaza. During the visit of the church, Inkosikazi met with Lee Myung-soon, the spouse to Dr. Ok Suk Park, the founder of the Good News Mission, which established the International Youth Fellowship Center in Eswatini.
The spouse to Dr. Ok Suk Park met with Inkosikazi Magelangangaza. Inkosikazi Magelangangaza has accompanied His Majesty King Mswati III to the Republic of South Korea. During the visit to the Inkosikazi, Mrs. Lee Myung-soon brought the famous choir from the Good News Mission, which rendered a song for Inkosikazi. Inkosikazi Magelangangaza thanked Mrs. Lee Myung-soon for the visit and also appreciated the music item that was delivered by the choir. On the news, I'm Polile Mazia with Tabiso Dlamini in South Korea.
The Kingdom of Eswatini has disclosed a program called Government in Your Hand, a strategy created to bring government closer to the people. The program was revealed by the Minister of Information, Communication and Technology, Senator Savannah Mazia, during the 10th Global Forum that was hosted by the Korean government.
The forum was hosted in conjunction with the 2024 Korea-Africa Summit, which was attended by His Majesty King Mswati III. The Kingdom of Eswatini, with the rest of the African continent and the Republic of South Korea, vowed for stronger collaboration, enhancing cooperation and solidarity for sustainable future. The Forum of the Ministers of Information, Communication and Technology was hosted under the theme Strengthening Korea-Africa Solidarity through Digital Innovation. The 10th Global Information, Communication and Technology Leadership Forum was hosted by the Korean Ministry of Science and ICT. The Global ICT Leadership Forum was launched in 2015. The Minister of Information, Communication and Technology, Senator Savannah Mazia, was part of the forum. The aim of the discussion was to explore avenues for collaboration, identify challenges and opportunities, and ultimately pave way for a mutually beneficial partnership that advances technology for a sustainable and inclusive future. The Minister of Information, Communication and Technology, Senator Savannah Mazia, said the Kingdom of Eswatini has made it clear that the next 20 years must be very different from the past 20 years by bringing government closer to the people by launching a program called Government in Your Hand.
We in Eswatini understand very clearly that the next 20 years will be very different from the past 20. And so in doing that, part of our strategy is to ensure that we bring everybody in the country closer to government and, more importantly, government closer to the people. So what we've done as a starting point is to launch a program called Government in Your Hand. And that basically says that all the 200 services plus that government offers will be able to be accessible through your phone or through community centers where we'll have data centers there. It's important to give our people dignity. It's important to be able to open up access to businesses. It's also important to be able to give our youth an opportunity to be able to access this area of digitization. Because if we can do that, then we rely more on them creating companies than them relying on getting jobs. And also ensure that we are using biometrics for safety and security, using legislation to ensure that there's certainty for business and the citizens, but also protecting the private information of people. But leapfrog we must, and collaborate we must, and be action-oriented, absolutely. Thank you.
On the news, I'm Polile Mazia with Tabiso Dlamini in South Korea.
His Majesty King Mswati III has invited the business community from the Republic of South Korea to explore opportunities in the Kingdom of Eswatini. This was revealed by the Minister of Commerce, Industry and Trade, Mangoba Khumalo, during the Korea-Africa Business Summit, where the minister was representing His Majesty in South Korea.
Heads of states and governments and Korean business leaders participated at the Korea-Africa Business Summit held in conjunction with the 2024 Korea-Africa Summit for African leaders and the President of South Korea. South Korea and the African continent have vowed to expand trade, enhance private sector and business partnerships. The Business Summit was hosted by the Korea International Trade Association, known as KITA. The theme of the summit was trade expansion and job creation. His Majesty King Mswati III was represented by the Minister of Commerce and Trade Industry, Mangoba Khumalo, at the Business Summit.
Deliver these remarks on behalf of the King of the Kingdom of Eswatini, His Majesty King Mswati III, who could not participate this afternoon due to a conflict in his schedule. We are pleased to participate in this session, whose theme is trade expansion and job creation, following on the footsteps of the 2024 Korea-Africa Summit. Let me begin by indicating the fact that the Kingdom of Eswatini is signatory to and beneficiary from several bilateral, regional, continental, and multilateral trade and cooperation agreements. This has the dual effect of expanding our international trade and market access opportunities, as well as realizing an increase in investments for both trade in goods and services. These includes the Southern African Customs Union, SACU, the Southern Africa Development Community, SADC, the Common Market for Eastern and Southern Africa, COMESA, the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement, AFCFTA, and other international agreements. Trading under these agreements has provided Eswatini improved prospects for job creation, propelling economic growth, as well as stimulating industrial growth in the kingdom. Investors have these and other markets where they can sell their products when they choose to invest in the Kingdom of Eswatini as their destination.
His Majesty King Mswati III has declared that Eswatini is ready and open to welcome the business community. This event is expected to boost Africa's partnerships with Korean firms. On the news, I'm Polile Mazia with Tabiso Lamini in South Korea.
The South Africa Board of People Practices has honored the Eswatini Water Services Corporation for completing a course on human resource skills. Khomotso Mopalami, the head of professional solutions at South Africa Board Practices, says they are proud of the company. Mopalami said this at the Eswatini Water Services Corporation headquarters on Wednesday.
The South African Board of People Practices has awarded the Eswatini Water Services Corporation with an award for completing courses on human resource development. Expressing her remarks during the ceremony, Khomotso Mopalami, who is the head of professional solutions at South African People Practices, says they are strongly convinced and confident that such an accreditation will instill positive results in the company.
Everyone who has a sound mind, who knows how the business should be run, when they see this certificate, I don't know if it will be in the MD's office or whose office, but when they enter that office and they see this certificate, they know that this business operates with utmost integrity. The professional values, business values, ethical values are being observed in this business.
The Minister for Natural Resources and Energy, Prince Longokhela, says the ministry is very much proud of the Eswatini Water Services Corporation for such an award, where he highlighted that it has placed Eswatini on the global map, hence it will encourage other companies in the country to strive for the better.
This accreditation is more than just a badge of honor. It is a testimony of the dedication, hard work, and excellence that the water services has demonstrated in its commitment to human resource management and organizational development. It signifies that water services adheres to the highest standards of people management, aligning with international best practices and setting a benchmark for other organizations in Eswatini and beyond.
Training employees on human resources is not just about meeting legal obligations, it is about creating a positive work culture, fostering employee growth, and ultimately contributing to the success of the organization. For Eswatini TV News, Mpendulo Kumbi with Lenhle Dlamini, Zuluini.
The Honourable Minister of Public Works and Transport, Chief Ndlahlaza Ndwandwe, says the Civil Aviation Act regulations will promote the reputation of the country's aviation industry and standards. The minister was speaking during a meeting with the ministry's portfolio committee.
The Ministry of Public Works and Transport, in partnership with the Eswatini Civil Aviation Authority, SWACA, held a meeting with the Ministry of Public Works and Transport Portfolio Committee at the House of Assembly on the Civil Aviation Security Act regulations. The Honourable Minister of Public Works, Chief Ndlahlaza Ndwandwe, said with these regulations, the country's aviation will be aligned with the International Civil Aviation Organization standards.
Ngakunye lokusetshenziswako airport kufanele ukuthi kube nemgomo wako ukuthi kusetshenziswa kanjani. Ndawubekisa nje lele suka kunyalo akhuluma ngekuphepha airport. Akhuluma ngemuntu longenako airport ukuthi kufanele ukuthi kube ngumuntu longakaphathi ini nani kwayona le ndiza leyo gitshelwa kufanele ukuthi ibe inani lekhombakala ukuthi tekuphepha tingleto letisezingeni lelifanele. Nekusho ukuthi lokuphasa kwalomthetho lesikhuluma ngawo kudale sita livenge ukuthi kunesikali lenibekwa kuso nilive ukuthi nina bakangwane ni tekundiza tekunayi percentage naye nithi ngaloko kuze ninyuke nitela lokhu nje lesekusebenta kokutasithatha libanga lelidza kakhulu ekuthenini liso lekubukwa ngomhlaba sibe nathi ngilaba nesitfundi wonke umuntu lofuna kusebenta nathi kutekundiza atikhanze aphephile atikhanze afanele kusebenta nathi.
The ministry's portfolio committee chairperson David Ngampalala shared how important this meeting is to the House.
Ngoba internationally ke bayasichazela ukuthi ayingcenye nokuprevent ama-accident etindizeni nokuthi nje live libukeke libamba standard semhlaba ngoba uma live lisebenta lite lemithetho kwakhona latindizeni nakuphi kuyakwenda ukuthi lokunengi lingemukeleki kahle.
Head of Aviation Security at Eswatini, Jablan Makakula, shared the intentions of these regulations.
They will facilitate business continuity. Kuyendeka timo letikabi ukhanze ukuthi tisifikela side ema-regulations lasicondzisanga ukuthi nase kwenteke lokho airport kufuna bese senda njani ukuze siqhubeke indiza tisukume tihlale.
The meeting also deliberated the regulations close by close. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Samkal Suekoza with Temba Shabangu, Eswatini.
The Honourable Minister of Public Works and Transport, Chief Ndlahlaza Ndwandwe, says for the country's civil aviation standards to improve, Mswati must embrace the culture of flying. The minister was speaking during a meeting with the ministry's portfolio committee.
During a meeting with the Ministry of Public Works Portfolio Committee at the House of Assembly on the Civil Aviation Act regulations, the portfolio members made submissions on the country's aviation space.
iyawushoda le ndiza ukhanda ukuthi kunetitulo leti-amped engabe yilento wabo ukuthi amane lama-fees abe affordable kuze ukuthi sitokhona ukubamba nama-standards amhlanje ngabe lama-regulations yini lalasibamba lokho ukuthi lama-percentage ethu angakhona ukuricha the percentage as is being required. Ngiphathele amafutha akho egcobisi. Sayasala faka undasiphinini. Bethi perfume over-size lethile. Iyathatha iyagcumisela. Futhi ngabe la kithi kulethu i-airport. We're-apply kubiphi regulation.
The Honourable Minister of Public Works and Transport, Chief Ndlahlaza Ndwandwe, when giving responses to the committee, said flying is pretty cheap in Eswatini.
Double what it is now. Uhamba ngemoto usuka la uye eJozi ubale le fuel iwe enter emoto yakho le risk lelandlelelo exposed kuyo konke lokho sokubala nje ngenzeni bekulula lokho vele usuka ngale nyoni yelive ukuthi iqhumane kuze njalo ithathe kusifra ubuye sokusebenza konke.
The minister also informed the meeting that with these regulations, the country's aviation standards will surpass the expected 86%. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Samkal Suekoza with Temba Shabangu, Eswatini.
And now let's have a look at our financial indicators.
Standard Bank. It can be.
In the world of sports, Sihlangu Semnigati has left the country to Angola and Mauritius, respectively, for the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers. Sihlangu's first game is on Friday in Angola, Luanda.
National team Sihlangu Semnigati has left the country to Luanda in Angola for their 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers against Angola on Friday, and thereafter will proceed to Mauritius for the second game of the group on Monday next week. Representing the Minister for Sports during the team's farewell was Director in the Ministry of Sports, Lakis Longonyane, who reminded the team that they are representing the Kingdom of Eswatini.
It has been a long time since we began chasing a FIFA World Cup qualification. You as a team have an opportunity to rewrite history. You have an opportunity to write yourself into football immortality. In sport, as you'll be aware, nothing is ever impossible.
Acting Football Association at the event was Steve Houghton, who is the Vice President of the Eswatini Football Association. He also reminded the players that the nation is indeed behind them.
We plead with the nation to be patient, our coach and my players. This is a learning curve for everybody. An average age, I think, in 25.
Both team head coach Dominic Nene, who's traveling with 20 players, and his captain Sfiso Matse are optimistic that besides starting on a negative note, the first games of the qualifiers, the team is now ready to make an impact in the remaining games. The team leaves with a total delegation of 32 people, and they're expected back home in the Kingdom of Eswatini on Wednesday next week. For Eswatini TV Sports, Fabiso Msonera, Lobamba.
Powerlifting training coach Mangoba Mamba says the sport deserves to be affiliated under the Eswatini National Sports Council, where the kingdom could also be represented internationally. Mamba says Mswati from the 4 regions of the country continue to show their interest in the sport.
According to Mangoba Mamba, who coaches powerlifting, it remains their aim as members of the sport to get affiliation to the Eswatini Sports and Recreation Council, where they could then organize or hold official competitions in the Kingdom of Eswatini. Mamba says the sport is played at Olympic level and all necessary needs are required to see the Kingdom of Eswatini at some stage competing internationally. At the moment, the members are just enjoying the sport without a competition.
Promoter beseyifile yona siyagcina I think about 2001 so ngikhazi zama kuyivusa manje ayitabuyi powerlifting in fact sisebenza yona kakhulu.
That's all for now. Before I go, here's a reminder of our headlining stories. His Majesty King Mswati III has paid a courtesy call on the President of the Republic of South Korea to discuss the strengthening of diplomatic relations between the two countries. Inkosikati Magelanga Ngaza has met the Good News Mission in South Korea. Minister for ICT Savannah Mazia has presented Eswatini's strategy of bringing government services closer to the people through the use of technology at the 10th Global Forum in South Korea. And with that, it's a wrap. I'll leave you now with the weather update for myself and the crew. Many thanks for your company. Take care.
Spar, we've checked every price, counted every coin, and cut every cost to bring you Spar Super Saver Week. Get even